Knockout Legends in the building. Like, comment, and subscribe. So today we're going to talk about the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And no, we're not talking about the Trinity. We're talking about the boxing Trinity, which is Ricky Hatton, who's the Father, Campbell Hatton, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, Matthew Magic Hatton. So I'm going to break it down. And this is in relation to Campbell Hatton's fight just gone over the weekend, and I'm going to ask a question. Is Matthew Hatton to blame for Campbell Hatton's loss? So first off, I'm going to talk about Ricky Hatton, the father. Now, Ricky has an illustrious career. He has a fight record of 45 wins, 32 KOs, and 3 knockouts. Now, he's from Manchester, birthplace Stockport, Cheshire. He campaigned at the super lightweight division, and basically he was very successful. Now, in his 39th bout, he challenged Costas Tszyu at the 9X Arena for the IBF Super Lightweight title. That was when he first kind of got a taste of the big life. But before that, he defended. It's a belt that's not even in circulation anymore. It was the WBU, the World Boxing Union's Super Lightweight title, and he had 22 bouts. And before he won that title, and that title he defended 14 times. The last time was against Vince Phillips, and that organisation operated from 1995 to 2004. So before that, he built up his career and got to the 39th bout before he actually challenged at like a legitimate world title. And obviously he was challenging Costas Tszyu, and Costas Tszyu at the time was basically the heavy hitter of the division. But a lot of people say he was on his way out. He was faded. He was getting old. He wasn't the same. But I don't know. I think that's cap, because Costas Tszyu's record then was 31-1. So he wasn't that bad, if by all counts. So, and he got beat by Vince Phillips, who actually Hatton beat. So it shows you the level where Hatton was at. Now, a lot of people say that Hatton's not a really skilled boxer, he's more of a fighter, brawler. But I kind of disagree slightly. He did have some fundamental boxing skills, and he knew how to fight, but he also knew how to set up the body shots. So that's why he was called a hitman, because he would take people out with body shots. A lot of the shots but he was a very aggressive fighter, and sometimes he'd smother the fighters and just swarm them. So in a sense, he's kind of like a pressure fighter that had a good body head ratio, more so body. But anyway, after the Costas Tszyu fight, which he won in the MEN Arena, and basically in his hometown of Manchester, he went on to unify against Carlos Mauser, and he had a record of 20-2 at the time, and then he unified the WBA World Super Lightweight title. Then he decided to go up in weight to welterweight, which is the 147, and then he fought Luis Collazo, who was 26-1, and that was for the WBA World Welterweight title, and he beat Collazo. He was down in the first round. Then after that, he went on to fight Juan Hurango. He won by unanimous decision, and that was back at super lightweight. He won the IBF. I think he already had the IBF, so he retained that title. He was defending it, but then he won the vacant IBO World Super Lightweight title. So then he went on to fight Jose Luis Castillo, who had a record of 55-7-1 at the time. He won by knockout. the WBC International Super Lightweight title was vacant at the time, so he won that. Then came the challenge, the guy of the division, Money Floyd Money Mayweather Jr., and he fought him, and that was for the WBC World Welterweight title. So he lost because he got knocked out. It just shows you the levels between the two fighters and how good Floyd Mayweather Jr. was at that time. So maybe Hatton going up and down in weight wasn't a good thing because he was always a super lightweight, but obviously because he used to balloon between fights, you know, he could obviously operate at that weight, so maybe that was better for him. But in that fight, he weighed in at 145 and Mayweather was actually 147, so he was a smaller man technically, even though it's by a couple of pounds. But anyway, he went and fought at the City of Manchester Stadium, Manchester City's football ground, and he fought Juan Lazcano, and he won by unanimous decision, defending the IBO World Super Lightweight title. So he then fought Paulie Marginale in Las Vegas, with defending the IBO World Super Lightweight title, won by technical knockout. Then he went up against one of the killers in the division, 48-3-2 at the time, Manny Pacquiao, and he was down twice, savage knockouts in the first round. Pacquiao just made short work of him. Then he came back about 3 years later and decided to come out of retirement and see if he could win a fight, and this was at the Manchester Arena, which is the old MEN probably, and then he wanted to fight Vyacheslav Senchenko, and he lost by knockout. So that was the end of that. Now, the reason I'm bringing up Hatton in all of this is because there's a comparison between father and son, and as always, that kind of looks as does the apple fall far from the tree. But the thing I need to know is, in this comparison, is there's a saying: hard times build hard men, soft times bring weak men. So because Hatton had it hard in his career, it made him hard, so it made him a good fighter, so it made him better as a fighter. Not just that, he had help, and he had help in the shape of Kerry Kayes. Now, he used to train at the Better Bodies gym, and there was a boxing gym at the back of the Better Bodies, and I think it was Billy the Preacher Graham who used to be Hatton's trainer. He used to train him there, but Kerry, because he used to be IFBB pro, and I think he was British champion bodybuilder, his gym, he helped him with his strength and conditioning and his weight loss, because as we all know, Hatton would balloon up between fights, and to be fair, he didn't have good discipline. I think whenever he won, he'd go out and celebrate. He'd probably eat a lot of fast food like curries, kebabs and whatnot, and used to drink a lot of beer and stuff, and some of the posh stuff, the nose candy stuff. So I remember someone saying to me in the gym, he's not slept for 3 days. But this was after the Costa Zoo win. So when you go up high, you come down. So that probably gives you an insight into why he suffered from depression and stuff. But not just that. Obviously, there's the well-documented fallouts with his family who were robbing him. I think it's his mum. She was his manager, and they were stealing his money. And, I think at some point they stole a few million off him, and then he fell out with them. So there was that. But in the background, his brother, Matthew, was there diligently training. Now, I'm going to talk about Matthew later, but I just want to talk about Ricky's weight. Sometimes he'd balloon up to like 13 to 14 stone, like Duran and Jake LaMotta between fights, so discipline weren't the best. But when he come to the Better Bodies gym, he would have with him strength and conditioning coach and diet nutritionist Kerry Kayes, so that would help him always getting to the top optimal shape for every fight. And you could see it in the ring, because sometimes you'd see him between fights and he'd be like almost fat, basically. And then you had the nickname for him, Ricky Fattin. But then you'd see him once he's finished camp and he'd be chiseled, you know, he'd be chiseled like out of stone, 6-pack, everything. And you'd think, well, where's all the fat gone? That's down to Kerry Case. He knows his nutrition, he knows his weight training, he knows his strength and conditioning, he knows his diets, he knows everything, he knows every single thing, he knows all the supplements, all the everything you can take, you need to take, obviously legitimate, to get you in optimal shape and optimal performance for sports. Now, people say, how do you know this? I used to train at that gym. That's all I'm going to say. But anyway, moving on. One of the things that probably was a criticism about Hatton in his height is he ducked Junior Witter, who was the WBC champion, I think, at the super lightweight division, and he never would fight him, and Witter would always call him out. But because of Witter's style and because he was an Ingle fighter, I think that would have gave Hatton problems, so he never ever wanted to actually ever like contest or try and fight with him, because I think he knew if he did, he would actually come a cropper. And to be fair, Junior Witter was really good, underrated fighter. I think it's just not having the personality and obviously the backing and the following like Ricky had, and probably high-end promoter. He didn't actually get where he needed to get in his career. Some fighters do it by the personality, and then sometimes luck comes into it by who your promoter is. And then obviously if you get the right promoter, they can sell you in the right way. Do you know what I mean? So it works for you. But in this sense, Witter, he was kind of quiet guy, even though he did call out Hatton. Probably not enough. He should have probably embarrassed him more, made him, how can I put it, because I don't think social media was in effect then, but if it had been on TV more and started like calling him out, like what Fury used to do on TV and say controversial stuff like that, he may have actually got more of a reaction. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, another thing that needs to be mentioned is how when Hatton stepped up against Pacquiao and Mayweather Jr., he actually finally got exposed for being inadequate in certain aspects of boxing, because them two are very technical. Even though a lot of people say Pacquiao's just a one-punch knockout merchant, he's not. He's actually a puncher boxer. Pacquiao's very, very astute at boxing and setting you up. Not just that, he's very quick. But obviously with the allegations of PEDs always levelled at Pacquiao, there's always that thing, how the hell can you go and jump from very, very lightweight and move up all the way up them divisions and be an eight-weight world champion? And that's probably why the Pacquiao-Mayweather Jr. fight never materialised when it did. But anyway, the funny thing to note about the Mayweather Jr. bout was when obviously Floyd fell out with his father, Floyd Mayweather Sr., and then Hatton betrayed his coach and hired Mayweather Jr., Floyd Mayweather Sr. as his coach, which was obviously a recipe for disaster. When everyone knows, even though Floyd Mayweather Sr. trained his son and laid down the foundation, really the ongoing training since his father was locked up and came out was always Roger Mayweather. And from all up to the end of probably Floyd's career until he passed away, Roger Mayweather was always the coach. He'd always be instrumental in some way, part of the team to get Floyd sharp. And I think he was the motivation to show how to be as a fighter. Because if you look at Floyd's career, he had two careers. There was Pretty Boy Floyd, who'd go out there and just dogfight with everyone. Then once he realised he couldn't do that anymore and he went up in the weight, had to like work more on his defense. Then the money Mayweather came in, and that was the attitude and the arrogance, and obviously buying himself out of the contract with Bob Arum, betting on himself, and then promoting himself to make as much money as possible. Same way like Muhammad Ali did with self-promotion, but you know, he did it and took the reins and controlled himself, so nobody could rob him like the way Don King robbed everyone. You know, in that sense, he took the sport of boxing further, and the pay-per-view side of stuff. But anyway, that would never have worked hiring Floyd Mayweather Senior to fight against his son. That was just weird, but like that was how boxing was back then. But anyway, so I'm gonna stop there at part 1 and then come back with part 2. So part 2, we're going to talk about Campbell Hatton. Now he had a bout on the weekend just gone, Sheffield Arena, against James Flint. Now he lost against Flint by unanimous decision, and the referees, the judges gave it 95-97, 94-97, and 92-98. Now, the question needs to be asked is Campbell Hatton any good? Now, he has a record of 14-1, 5 knockouts, and he fights in the same division as his father. He's 23, his nickname's Hurricane, and he's trained by his uncle, Matthew Hatton. Now, it's kind of early in his career to make comparisons, and very early to actually even think if he's anywhere near at the level of his father. He's only had 3 amateur bouts, 2 wins, 1 loss. So there's not really much you can say. And to be fair, it is what it is. You got beat, you lost, you know. But there has been some other decisions before that were close that he should have lost, and he was given the victory. It's only a matter of time before karma or the law of the universe comes into effect, where you may win one, but you're not going to win everything. So there is that. But is it his fault, or is he to blame? Well, you're the only person in the ring, so if it's not on you, then who's it on? Now, a lot of people may want to blame Matthew Magic Hatton, but the way I look at it is Matthew is only his coach and he's his uncle, so he has every right to actually basically do all he can to help him win. Now, if Campbell is not adequate and doesn't have the skill set, then he just doesn't have it. Some boxers' sons go ahead and do well, and because like they follow the father's footsteps and they live through the father vicariously, I suppose, in a way, and the father lives through them, it just comes off naturally. You know, some do, some don't. You know, some are good, some are not. It just depends on how the kid was raised. Was the kid raised in a way where it brings a hardship, in a way where it makes them want to kind of live that life? Because you have to be dedicated. But the thing is if you've got a gym, you don't have to work. You can have top nutrition, you can have top supplements, you can have the best strength and goals conditioners, you can get adequate sleep, you can eat good food. There is really no excuse apart from talent. If you have the talent, then you have it. If you don't, then you don't. Sometimes hard work can trump talent, and you can just be a workman and gain all the tools you need to gain. Some people just have the natural gift and have that natural fighting ability, like, for example, Terence Crawford, Sean Porter. Some people hone the craft and are really, really good, and they just live the life, you know. Bernard Hopkins, just to name a few. Even Cal Brook, you know. It just goes to show dedication, hard work and perseverance can do a lot for a fighter. And it was a step up, you know, he stepped up for a Central Aerial title and he just wasn't good enough. Maybe it was too soon, maybe it wasn't, who knows. But anyway, I don't blame Matthew, and I don't per se say it's Campbell's fault. I think it's just the fact that maybe too soon, too early. But anyway, we're gonna move on to Matthew Magic Hatton. Now, I kind of know Matthew a little, and from what I know of Matthew, he's a good guy. He's safe, proper top guy. He's all right. Got a good attitude, good way of looking at things, and to be fair, he has got a decent record. A lot of people say, "Oh, he's not as good as Ricky. He's crap," but you have to look at things in another perspective, in another way. One, he was in a different weight class because he was in welterweight. Ricky was in super lightweight. Also, he had a record of 43-7-2. He had 17 knockouts. He was knocked out once in the 7 and 2 draws. Now, his career, he's grinded. He's actually grinded. He's gone and done it like old school, you know. So, even though he probably didn't have the talent that Ricky had, that perseverance and that hard kind of times breeds hard men kind of thing. Now, he went on a one. Win fight streak before he lost to David Kirk. Then he lost to David Keogh. Then went on a pretty long win streak again. Win streak and 1 draw before he lost again, and that was to Alan Bosworth. Then went on a 5-win winning streak, then lost again to Craig Watson. Then went on another win streak and 1 draw in the middle of an 8-win streak and a draw in the middle. Then he actually got the chance to fight Canelo Alvarez, and that was in 2011. The 5th of, I think it's the 5th of March. Yeah, 5th of March. But he lost by unanimous decision, and Alvarez was deducted for a point for hitting after the break, and that was for the WBC World Super Welterweight title at the time that was vacant. Now, Hatton was 149.5, and Alvarez was 151.5. Now, he went the distance with Canelo. Then he went and fought. He won his next bout. Then he went and fought Kell Brook, who he lost on unanimous decision. And Kell Brook at the time was 26-0-1-0. So, and that was for the IBF International Welter and the WBA Intercontinental Welter. So, he's got some good opposition on his resume, and he's fought at a high level, even though he's not won a belt or won like a version of a world title. He's been there. He's challenged, and you know he's got Ben Taki on his resume, who he won by unanimous decision again against. Who else is there on his resume? There's not really much more people that I can say on any note that that I can think of, but he has a decent career, and he is a technical boxer. I've seen him fight. He's pretty technical. That's one of the reasons probably why Canelo couldn't hurt him or knock him out. Same with Kell. You know, Kell's just tricky for anyone. He's just one of them fighters that is hard to fight anyway. But in general, it just is what it is. But to be fair, he has had a decent career. So who wouldn't be better to train him out of the two brothers than actually Matthew? So in conclusion, I would say it's not really Matthew's fault how Hatton turned out. I mean Campbell turned out. maybe Campbell's not really as good as he believes and how everyone else believes. Maybe he's just overhyped, and maybe he's actually rubbish. You know, that's probably why his dad didn't want to train him. He didn't want to take that chance that if he lost or he showed him up, he could be to blame for that. It'd be easy to probably scapegoat and blame Matthew if he didn't do well. So in conclusion, I'd say it's not Matthew's fault, and maybe Campbell needs to actually try and knuckle down and basically live the life and buck up and be a better boxer. Because what he said after the fight was a bit kind of cringe about, he thought he nicked it, and I thought, come on, benefit of the doubt's one thing, but like, you blatantly got outboxed. You got outboxed and you got beat. So just put your hands up and say the better man won. It's not your night. It's not your night. Sometimes it's not your night. You know, it's just, it is what it is. You know. But anyway, what are your thoughts on the fight? Did Campbell actually do enough to win? What do you think Campbell's any good in comparison to the two brothers? Do you think he's as good as any of them? Or is Campbell just crap? Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Like, comment and subscribe. That is another one from the one and only Knockout Legends. Peace.